Hello everybody, I'm back again with another one of my book reviews. This time I'm here to talk about a horror novel I finished reading yesterday, and it's an old one, but I'm going to review it anyway. It is Night of the Claw by Ramsey Campbell. This one's a little bit different than most of the Campbell. I mean, there's definitely a lot more gore in it than I've seen in some of the other ones I've read. Not that I've read a lot of his. I know he's mostly well known for quiet horror, and this one is about the Leopord Man, which is an actual real thing. It was a cult of cannibals that lived in Africa and were known to attack people in the method of leopards and generally rip them apart and eat them. This book is about a claw. There was an ancient artifact, well, not that ancient, I guess, but an artifact made by the Leopord Man that first passed into the hands of a researcher who was researching them. And it made him go crazy, and he tried to get rid of it by giving it to a writer who was passing through. And then it started making the writer go crazy. And the way it makes people go crazy is by basically if they have a daughter, or I guess even if they don't have a daughter, if they have a son, sometimes it'll make them want to basically kill and eat their child. Eventually the writer realizes it's having a negative effect on him, and he gets a call from a guy in Africa who knows a way to help, so he has to go back to Africa, and then his wife starts going crazy too and trying to kill the child. And there's also stuff about a blood-covered man seen wandering around the area around their house, and other people start getting affected by it and getting a little crazy, especially after the claw gets stolen and the person who steals it goes crazy and kills his first son. And it's basically, it's a book that I would describe as disturbing more than actually scary. And now I will follow my traditional procedure of giving you a little reading from the beginning of the book to give you a sense of what it sounds like. It took Joanna Marlowe almost an hour to cross from the mainland to Lagos. Beneath a sky the color of sandy mud, the bridge was jammed with cars and bicycles, blaring and ringing and hooting. A few canoes sprouting umbrellas glided across the lagoon, past a lone, bedraggled yacht, stranded in the drizzle without a hope of wind. Joanna's car was boxed in by a bus called God Save Us, in a boastfully shiny black car driven by a Yoruba man who kept leaning on his horn and chewing a cigar almost as fat as the exhaust pipe. She felt trapped by the thick, muggy heat and the traffic, and yet she wasn't anxious to move. Her talk with Isaac had made her afraid to go home. Beside her, Helen was sulking because she'd been slapped for trying to sound the horn. The little girl crossed and uncrossed her long bare legs, tugged restlessly at her shorts, rolled the window up and down. Now she was snapping the glove compartment over and over again. Joanna was about to slap her when the bus in front lurched forward. The driver of the shiny car leaned on his horn at once, and Joanna barely restrained herself from walking back and screaming obscenities at him. She no longer felt at all like an anthropologist's wife from Oxford. She wasn't even sure whose wife she was. Helen was jumping up and down, her seatbelt twanging. "Look, there he is, Mummy," she pleaded, "the boy with the toys." He was one of the traders who plied the narrow strip between the road and the parapet, waiting for traffic jams. Joanna haggled half-heartedly with him for a set of plastic quoits, and wished she could be distracted as easily as Helen was now. She started to cross the Carter Bridge, yet it was jammed too. At least it would mean that David couldn't be home before she was. Generally speaking, I've enjoyed what I've read of Ramsey Campbell. Admittedly, that isn't that many. I think I've only read like 2 or 3 of his other books, but I've enjoyed them. This one I don't know. I thought it was a little slow, to be honest. It's definitely a slow build up in tension, but I think it might be a little too slow. And it's, like I said earlier, it's one of those things that I would find more disturbing than actually scary. Though maybe if I was a parent, I might find it scarier, but I'm not, so I just find it kind of disturbing. The other main problem I had with it was the ending. I mean, usually when you have a book, where they reach some sort of resolution, and then things kind of wind down a little bit, where you have maybe one more chapter, or at least a couple pages of what happens after the climactic battle with evil, or whatever you want to call it. Well, kind of the climax, obviously. This book, that happens on the last page, and there's pretty much like one paragraph after the final battle against the Leopord Men, or the evil of the Leopord Men caused by the claw, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how to describe it exactly without spoiling the whole thing, and I don't want to spoil it any more than I have. Not that I care particularly about spoilers, but I don't want to get too many of them. On the good side, this book was definitely disturbing in a fairly good way, especially once the mother started going a little crazy and wanting to hurt her child, and you see the way she would justify it to herself in her head was, some very good writing, actually. And to be honest, I expect this part has a little bit to do with Campbell's own history, because from what I read online, his own mother suffered from mental illness of some kind. So a lot of people feel that a lot of this was at least drawing on his own experiences. I don't know, because I've never met him. He lives in the UK, so I'm not likely to. I don't really think this is one of his best books, but it's not really that bad, but I also don't think it's really all that great either. It's good, but it's a little too slow to build up, and I didn't really care for the ending all that much. But I will give it 3.5 gas masks. And I will recommend that you read it or read some of his other books, because he is a horror grandmaster, so he's certainly written some books that are well worth reading. And I will certainly be reading more of his, because I picked this up and a bunch of other ones at my local used bookstore a few months ago, and still haven't gotten around to reading many of them. I have at least 2 or 3 of his other books on my shelf, so I'll read them sooner or later, because they won't be the next things I read. But whenever I read them, I'll be sure to do a review, just like I'm doing reviews of the other books I read. And we'll have another one up soon. Until then, goodbye and keep on reading.
If you like this video, please click subscribe or watch some of my older videos. If you think the book I reviewed sounds interesting, buy a copy. There are always links to the Amazon store in the description for this book and any other books I mentioned. If you have any suggestions on other books I could read, or any other comments, queries, insults, or anything else you want to say, please feel free to mention it in the comments section.